B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach, shiur Torah, bruchim habayim. We're back here on our Wednesday night, Stump the Rabbi, where after some Divrei Torah, BeEzrat HaShem, you guys will ask some questions. BeEzrat HaShem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. Tonight's shiur is going to be for the Refuah Shlema, for Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Ishai ben Sarah, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Sarah bat Levana, Avi Mori David ben Esriah, Immorality Doris bat Jorah, and all of Am Yisrael and all the righteous Noahides that continue to watch and enjoy the lectures with us and learn with us and support the organization, whether it's with their talents, with their money, or all types of ways that you could support the organization. Baruch Hashem. So tonight, Rabotai Kareem, I want to get right into it because there's a lot to say, there's a lot to learn, and really this is a lecture that's going to either impact you to change certain things, or it'll do nothing for you. I don't think it'll be anything in the middle ground. Either you'll stay exactly the same, like as if nothing happened, or you'll actually make some changes. It's not going to be gruesome, it's not going to be scary, it's just simply going to tell you some stories, tell you some things that are going to put things in perspective. Parashat Pinchas begins by highlighting the heroic and impossible act that Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen did. Now there are many people that consider things impossible until they see somebody else do it. How can we learn from this and use it for life of Torah and learn how to do the impossible? To begin, we know that at the end of last week's Parashat Balak, Balaam gave a idea to Balak after his plan of cursing Am Yisrael did not work. He told him, listen, if you want to get Am Yisrael to get punished by God, then what you need to do is just simply cause them to commit immorality. And that's why Balak sent the daughters of his nation and Midian to go and make sins. And there were certain Jews that fell and made sins. They enticed them by making it as if it's a market. You could just come to the market. They put an old lady at the front to make it seem like it's a neutral, as if it's okay. But as soon as the Jews got there, as soon as Am Yisrael got there, they told them, listen, there's better prices inside. And inside there was a beautiful woman that would entice them to sin. And then as soon as they would want to sin, she would tell them, well, first you have to worship my idol. So it just got from bad to worse. And at some point, the act of Zimri took place where Zimri wanted to embarrass Moshe Rabbeinu, and therefore he took one of the Goyot, Cosby, and said, I'm going to be with her, even without marriage, as if this is something that's allowed. And Pinchas hears this. He sees the leaders of Am Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu included, crying at what's happening, crying at the Chilul Hashem Zimri is about to do, Zimri is doing. And Pinchas says to Moshe, Rabbeinu, weren't you the one that taught us that if you see a Jew in the middle of an act of immorality with a non-Jew, someone that's a kanai, someone that's zealous for Hashem, truly zealous for Hashem, can kill him? And Moshe Rabbeinu says, yes, you're right. You remember the halacha, you do it. Now, this sounds simple, but in reality, when you read what the sages teach about the details, which is that Zimri was the leader of the Shimon tribe. He was a king. He wasn't just some average person. He was surrounded by guards, armed guards. And they were willing to kill for him. Pinchas had to follow him, hide the spear that he's going to kill him with, pretend like he's befriending the Shimon tribe and he wants to sin just like them, until he gets the opportunity to kill Zimri if he sees him in the act. Now, at the end of the parasha, there's a peculiar line that the HaChaim talk about, where it says in chapter 30, verse number 1, it's the last verse of the parasha, Vayomer Moshe el bnei Yisrael kechol asher tziva Adonai et Moshe. Moshe said to the children of Israel, according to everything that Hashem had commanded Moshe. Now the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, why didn't it use different language here? Where it says that Moshe said to Am Yisrael, everything that Hashem commanded him. Why does it say like as if Moshe is speaking about in third person? And the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, that's to answer and address all of those heretics that would think for a moment that maybe the oral Torah is not something that we got on Mount Sinai, that perhaps Moshe Rabbeinu invented something, or the rabbis invented something. Here, Moshe is telling us, everything that Hashem told me, I told you. I didn't add anything else to it. And from there we learn also that when you hear something from your rabbi, and you want to tell somebody else, not only do you have to mention the source of, that you heard it from your rabbi, as the Mishnah in Masechet Avot says, that someone that mentions the source of where they got what they got brings the salvation closer, just like Esther HaMalka brought the salvation after she told Achashverosh that she heard from Mordechai that there's a plan to assassinate Achashverosh. And because she said it in the name of Mordechai, he was written in the book, and later on, that's how the salvation came. But in addition to that, we also learn that you not only have to mention the source, you have to say it like he said it. Meaning, don't add your own idea, your improvisation, your chidush to it, because it may lead others to think that maybe that's what your rabbi also said. How do you even know your idea is right? It can be problematic. And the point being is, Rabotai, that here the Torah is telling us that Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen killed Zimri and Cosby. But the people initially did not like this. Who are you to rebuke? Who are you to protest? Who are you to take such a act? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make sure that everyone knows that not only was this act right, but this act brought mercy to the world, as it actually saved all of Am Yisrael from Chas v'Shalom being destroyed. As the sages tell us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says clearly to Moshe Rabbeinu that the zealousness of Pinchas lowered the zealousness of Hashem, if you will, where he was about to destroy Am Yisrael. So I did not consume the children of Israel in my vengeance. And therefore, he gives them Briti Shalom, which is having the Shekhinah on him at all times. He never dies. He becomes Kohen Gadol. Lots and lots of blessings. But we see here one of the sources where the sages teach that someone that is rebukes and protests in the name of Hashem for the sake of the Torah, not for their own, personal benefits, may be viewed by people as something unfavorable, but in the eyes of Hashem, not only is it favorable, not only is it blessed, but it actually brings mercy to the world. The question is, how can someone do such an impossible thing today? Now, of course, we don't have the permission to do what Pinchas did literally, but what Pinchas did in so many words is no different, theoretically speaking, than any other impossible act. I know in the business world, it's very common where people say that there's certain things that are impossible. In technology, people say things are impossible. In medicine, people at some point say things are impossible until somebody does it. Some of Gdolei Israel did things that are impossible, but most people never even heard that they did it. In fact, there are even some Gdolim, some great Chachamim that we've had in past years that were not even recognized as the Gdolim of Am Yisrael until they died, where it was discovered the things they did. In a newsletter called Ikvetad de Meshicha, that has been going on already for almost 30 years, Rabbi Baruch Dov Porvolsky, Rosh Yeshivat Mir, tells a story of the Stipler Gaon, of Yaakov Kanievsky, where in his later years, the Stipler, who suffered enormous pain in his legs, where he would have to walk with a cane on one hand and he would lean on something on the other side, and every week they would have to remove water, an extraordinary amount of water from his legs, from all the swelling. One Shabbat, the Stipler Gaon is leaving the shul slowly, and one of his sides is his cane, on the other side there's a tree. And as the Rav is trying to walk, he loses his balance, and the natural thing that someone would do instinctively when they're about to fall is grab the tree, lean on the tree. But the Stipler Gaon doesn't do that. Instead, the Stipler Gaon instinctively hugs himself and allows himself to fall, hurting himself terribly. Why? Why don't you just move your head just a little bit and catch yourself before you fall? Why hug yourself? That's because you're not allowed to lean on a tree, climb a tree on Shabbat, lest you break a branch. But the Stipler held that you're not even allowed to lean on it, to such an extent that he trained his instincts to protect himself from such a situation, allowing himself to fall. Now, the average person doesn't need to fall, could catch themselves. But the Stipler Gaon held himself to a much higher standard, instinctively. This is not something where you have 5 minutes to think about, maybe I should fall, maybe not. We're talking about instant. Someone falls, instantly, they grab whatever they can. But he trained his instincts in such a fashion that he instinctively protected himself from crossing a boundary in the laws of Torah. The Stipler was known as someone that's kadosh, where he simply could not tolerate being in the same room as a Mechalel Shabbat without you telling him. One guy posing as a religious guy came into the Bet Midrash. As soon as he came to the Bet Midrash, without the Stipler Gaon seeing him, seeing his face, knowing who he is, immediately the Stipler says, Mechalel Shabbos, outside Mechalel Shabbos. Clearly Ruach HaKodesh, clearly something that is beyond the norm. When people would send him letters or come for a blessing, usually they would write down what they wanted, but there were certain rules. If the letter was written by a woman, he wouldn't read it. Not even though, according to Allah, you're allowed. But again, he took upon himself something above and beyond. There was one time where the guy came for a blessing on Chol HaMoed. And he brought the little note to the Stipler. And the Stipler looks at the note and he says, when was this letter written? Because you're not allowed to just write anything on Chol HaMoed. Even though it's not Yom Tov, there's still rules. You can't just write and do whatever you want on Chol HaMoed as if it's a regular day. So the Stipler says, when was this letter written? And the guy obviously is, he wrote it in Chol HaMoed. He didn't know what to answer. So the Stipler says, maybe it's Pikuach Nefesh in this letter. Life risk. Maybe it's some type of sakana. And the guy says, no. Immediately the Stipler rebukes him. He goes, what? You think that you can do whatever you want to do with the Shulchan Aruch as if the laws don't exist? He still blessed the guy. But he could not tolerate people treating the Torah as if it's just something you could do whatever you want with. Another one of the lesser known Gdolim, certainly the Stipler was very well known, but someone that was less known was Rav Yosef Shalom Pinchasí, who was the Rav of the city of Kiryat Sefer. He also trained his instinct in a certain fashion. He would do everything possible to go from place to place to give lectures, to give chizuk, so much so that he needed 2 drivers. Because the drivers would get tired every day, they would have to switch. They couldn't understand how the rabbi is giving so many lectures, one after another. So much so that there were multiple times that the Rav would pass out in the middle of a lecture from tiredness. After passing out, they give him some water, he drank a little bit of water, and go back to giving the lecture again. One time he came to a place, and there was some wicked person in the crowd saying, listen, no more than 7 minutes you're allowed to speak here. 7 minutes. Not a minute more. Rabbi Pinchasí started speaking. The second that he broke the 7-minute mark, this Rasha took his shoe from his foot and threw it at the head of the Rav, causing him to fall and bleed from his head. But this did not stop him from going again and giving more lectures and more shurim and more chizuk, because he changed his nature in such a way that to help people do tshuva, to help people get closer to Hashem, was no longer a good idea, a mitzvah. It was simply an absolute must, no different than breathing. Now, at the end of Masechet Kinim, the Gemara says that the Amei Aratzot, the people that don't learn Torah, as they age, they start losing their mind and their instincts start taking control in a very, very horrific way. Where if they were someone that would occasionally use profanity, now all of a sudden they would use it all the time. If they were not careful in their speech, they would embarrass people in public. They would act like animals. Completely care less about tzniut, completely care less about privacy. They would share things about themselves that are too much to share. And of course, anyone that's been around older people knows this to be true. You see that as the people age, they start becoming very difficult to deal with, to say the least. That's why they many times need someone to care for them. They just stop caring and stop literally behaving like they did throughout the rest of their life. They no longer care about their hygiene or their privacy or other people's privacy or manners for that matter. That's the Amei Aratzot. But the Talmidei Chachamim, although their body gives, like any other human, many times, their instincts sharpen. Meaning their wisdom is sharper. Their modesty is better. Their character traits are softer and better and improved. They've improved over time. Why? Because these Torah scholars, these Talmidei Chachamim, have exerted all of their efforts to sanctify themselves to the point where they change their instincts, and therefore their instincts have become different than what they were. As the Abarbanel says, Hirgel Ne'esat Teva, that a habit becomes nature. If a person makes a habit of looking at things that are not modest, eventually he's not going to be able to control himself. He'll even look at something not modest right next to his wife, right next to his rabbi, right next to the most inappropriate place. If he makes it a habit to say certain things, eat certain things, he'll eventually do it in the wrong places without caring, because it's become his nature. So one of the things we learn from the Chachamim and how they had a better outcome at the end of this life in this world is that a person can actually change their instincts by sanctifying their habits. Starting off with protecting their eyes and making it a rule not to look at everything, not to look at things that are immodest. Initially, it's hard. You're young, you want to see, you're curious. But if you train yourself initially to protect your eyes and not look at things that are not modest, eventually it'll become your nature. That habit that you took upon yourself becomes your nature, where the second you see something that's immodest in your peripheral vision, immediately you turn away. Even if it's right in front of you on the screen, you turn away. You can look straight at something and not see what that is because of how you've trained yourself. The same thing with eating. A person can train themselves to not eat everything as soon as they see it, like an animal. Check. Is it meat? Is it dairy? Is it kosher? What kind of kashrut? No different than how people that want to go on diets and, health type types of regiment. They train themselves to control their instincts, their natural instincts that wants to eat everything and anything. If a person does that over time, he'll have a much easier time controlling it. He won't even have the desire for all the stuff that's not good for him. Another good thing that a person can do is take upon themselves to never leave the house without bringing a sefer with them. Have a sefer always with you, so as soon as there's a moment, whether you're waiting on the bus stop, or you're at the doctor's office, or wherever it is, instead of waiting and playing with your phone and seeing the news, immediately you open a sefer. You have a sefer that you open. Also, this makes it easier if you have to meet someone from the opposite gender, and you obviously don't shake their hand, but you can make it more comfortable since you have something in your hand. People usually wouldn't reach out to shake your hand if you have something in your hand. Another thing that a person can start training themselves is don't get angry fast. Not getting angry at all is pretty much asking for the impossible. Because there are certain people that are very difficult to deal with and they make you angry. What you can do, though, is control the speed of how quickly you get angry. Give things time before you react. Think about it. Hold your breath for a little bit. Drink some water and leave the water in your mouth so it stops you from speaking. Go walk away. Take upon something else that will occupy your mind before reacting, before talking about it. Let the things simmer a little bit in your mind before you react to them. Because if you're able to control the outbursts, you're already on the path of being able to control your overall anger. But ultimately, while all of these things are very good things to take on, Pinchas did not have a problem with his eyes, or carrying a book, studying Torah, or eating, or being angry fast. Pinchas did something that sanctified HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name. Pinchas, who until this point, to my knowledge, never killed anybody, killed two people in the most gruesome, horrific possible way, but brave way at the same time. Saved all of Am Yisrael. How did he do it? Because Pinchas trained himself his whole life in the ways of Hashem to sanctify his name in every opportunity. One of the benefits that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has blessed us with is being able to learn from our Rav in the way that he acts and does things. And I remember when anytime I go to Israel, seeing how he is with certain people, how he talks with chachamim, with regular people, with secular, with religious. And you get this, the stories add up over the years. And one of the things that is always interesting is if we're in a taxi together and the driver is not religious. Immediately, Rabbi Ephraim is on the job. How can I get this guy to do tshuva? How can I get this guy to keep mitzvot? How can I get this guy to keep Shabbat? And time again, he tries. Sometimes it works perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't work because the people are against. But the point is that this has been something he's always done his whole life, even as a kid. And just in the last 24 hours, They were trying to arrange for a drive. There's a trip that we're trying to arrange over there for a group of people, and we need a large vehicle to go from between two cities, and the whole thing is expensive, and we're shopping it around. So he sends a message to one of these companies, and he asks, this is the dialogue, and he sends a message. Can we find out details about going from Jerusalem to Tveria? If there's availability, price, but with one condition, so long as you do not violate Shabbat. Response: yes, we work during Shabbat and holidays. Rabbi Ephraim responds: God forbid, we're not going to be able to use you. You're not allowed to violate Shabbat. Response: yeah, but you're talking about going on a Monday. We're not driving on Shabbat for this drive that you're asking about. You're right, says Rabbi Ephraim. But somebody that desecrates my father, why should I give him parnasah? Response: yeah, but there's a chance that you'll go with a different car and then get, because it's a long drive, you'll get gas from a gas station that violates Shabbat. Response from Rabbi Ephraim: what we can stop from, we do. Meaning whatever we don't have to use, whatever we can do, we do. And BeEzrat HaShem will be able to change the world. Too bad that you're losing such a big blessing just for the sake of money. Everything is from God, which I'm sure you believe in. Too bad that you're losing this blessing, aside from the fact that you're going to get a big punishment in the future. So already this transaction has turned to a musar conversation. And the guy responds: what punishment? Is there something worse than the life we have right now? Rabbi Ephraim's response: Mechalei amot yumat. Those that desecrate Shabbat, death penalty. In the book of Exodus, chapter 31, verse 14. Are you familiar with this verse? You received, and he continues, God gave you eyes, legs, a heart, and everything functions through him, yet you are fighting him? That's really too bad. Response: okay, have a good night. Thank you very much regardless. Rabbi Ephraim: may be his will that you'll do tshuva. And the guy said, gives one of those emojis where the two hands are together. Ephraim continues. He sends him a shiur. Shiur Torah that he's done. Scary story about someone that violated Shabbat. The guy responds: if I do tshuva today, would you actually let me drive you next week? Meaning it's a big job. He wants the job. He's willing to do tshuva, he says. Ephraim responds: if you really take upon yourself to keep Shabbat from now on, we'd be happy to use you. Response: okay, fine. I'll think about it. Thank you. Great, says Rabbi Ephraim. Listen to the shiur and understand the blessing that you're missing out on. So now, this is not the first time. This is certainly not the last time. But what do you see here? The average person that sees their fellow Jew violating Shabbat, living a life of secularism, even if you yourself are religious, the average person doesn't care enough to the point where they're willing to make themselves uncomfortable by having these uncomfortable conversations, by having these types of rebukes out of love, but are not necessarily always lovely. The average person says, listen, yeah, let him live his life. Why do I have to? I don't know him. And you're right, generally speaking, the people that you should try to help as far as giving a rebuke are people that you know, that you have a connection to, they're more likely to be receptive. You could still help strangers by giving them the USBs, go to the Kiruv store, get one of these books, or get one of these books, more likely, or some of the other things we have in there, and distribute it in your community. People will learn more Torah, people will understand more and more of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded. So you could help the people that are close to you directly by talking to them, by sharing lectures. You could help people that are strangers by giving them books and so on. And you could also obviously donate to support. But those that have become what we know of as Gdolei Israel, were not only Gdolim because of the amount of Torah that they learned, the amount of knowledge they possessed, the amount of holiness they've acquired, but rather because of how they changed their nature, because they weren't born that way. They changed their nature to such an extent that they removed that selfishness, that carelessness, and replaced it with an instinct that simply does not allow them to sit quiet while their fellow Jews, while their brothers and sisters are going in the wrong path. They could not stay quiet while Hashem's name is being desecrated. They cannot stay quiet while the Torah is being disgraced. Now we may not be Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't expect us to be. There was one Pinchas, and that's what it's going to be. But to change our instincts when it's for the sake of improving financials sounds good. To change our instincts for the sake of improving marriage, relationships, sounds good. To change our instincts for the sake of health sounds good. Eat less, eat different food, talk less, do this, do that. All of those things sound good. But when you hear about changing your instincts when it comes to caring about your fellow Jew, when it comes to caring about the ultimate destiny, or destination, I should say, of your fellow Jew and where they're going, changing your instincts because you care about Hashem, and therefore you're not going to allow yourself to stay quiet while HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name is being desecrated. You're not going to allow yourself to stay quiet while you see your fellow Jew in your community driving to shul. You're not going to stay quiet while you see your brothers and sisters, even if you don't know them, continue to simply be in delusion, in a deluded life, deluded ideology, thinking that God needs them and that they're not going to get punished no matter what, and all types of other foolish things that, unfortunately, the Satan has convinced people to believe. You're not going to be able to stay quiet. And not everybody's a good speaker. Not everybody's a good communicator. But the good news is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did give us other tools today, where each person can be a Pinchas. How? Taking time out of every single day and doing Kiruv during that time. Whether it's taking our lectures and sharing it with all of your friends, family, and contacts. Or it's taking some of the books and every day going and distributing it, different houses, different people, different shuls, different yeshivot, different Jewish markets, or the USBs, or arranging lectures, or using your talents and abilities to help spread the message, or a bunch of other things. We literally have a whole Kiruv guide full of ideas. And there are plenty more that can be created. Why? Not because you are Pinchas, but rather because you are you, and you're trying to be a better version of you. Not for the sake of profiting money, not for the sake of improving your diet, not for the sake of any personal interest, but rather for the sake of the benefit of your fellow Jew and your connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, your Father in heaven. And instead of being the average person who doesn't care, or a little bit better than average person that cares only once in a while, some people listening to this will choose to be a Pinchas for a small part of every single day. Maybe 5 minutes, half hour, an hour, maybe more. But they'll choose to be Pinchas for a little bit every day. A little bit of every day they're going to distribute some Kiruv material. A little bit every day they're going to arrange another event. A little bit every day they're going to do something to help their fellow Jews get closer to Hashem, both in the religious community and in the non-religious community. And not just with people that they know, that it's their family, that it's their brother, it's their sister, it's their mother, but also with people they don't know. Some people are going to listen to this and choose to be Pinchas. And there's never been a time better than today to be that. Because you don't have to kill anybody. In fact, you're bringing them back their life. So with that, Rabotai Karim, I think every person needs to do an accounting. Look what Pinchas got. He got endless blessings. He never died. He became Eliyahu Navi. People cry just to have good health, just to find a shidduch, just to have some money to finish the month. Pinchas never died. The Shekhinah was with him at all times. Am Yisrael was saved because of him. Even if the blessing you end up getting is 1% of all of that. It's a complete transformation of everything else that you have. And of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu always in his ultimate chesed always tries to cheer us on and push us to further and further limits, whether it's with more books that we're able to distribute, more people we're able to help, more people that have done tshuva, more people that are donating, more good things coming out. Baruch Hashem, he gave us some more good news. A press release that we just sent out today, that Baruch Hashem you may have gotten in your email if you signed up, or the WhatsApp groups, that Baruch Hashem, the BeEzrat HaShem organization achieved the Guidestar Platinum Seal of Transparency, which is something extraordinary because Guidestar, or also called Candid, is a organization that tracks just about 2 million non-profit organizations in the United States. And it gives them ratings. No rating, or bronze, silver, gold, and then there's platinum. And generally, the platinum is the huge organizations that have thousands and thousands of employees and millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. So out of the 2 million organizations, only 24,325 nonprofit organizations have this platinum, which is the highest rating. And B'siyata Dishmaya, Kadosh Baruch Hu made it so that our BeEzrat HaShem organization that started off with no rating years ago, and then the bronze, and then the silver, and then last year we achieved or 2 years ago we achieved the gold, which was a big thing. Just in the last several days we got, Baruch Hashem, the news BeEzrat HaShem became a platinum seal of transparency by Guidestar, literally part of the 1% of all organizations, which not only shows the significance of the organization itself and how it's well regarded in the industry, but also how HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses to bless those that spread His word without sugarcoating in such a way that may seem like it's hurting you. It may seem like it's dangerous to kill Zimri. He's the leader of the Shimon tribe. Somebody will kill you back. He could fight back. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you fight in my honor, I'm your protector. And not only that, you're going to bring mercy to the world. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives special blessings. So while it may not seem like a big deal to people that are not familiar with this, I can assure you, out of 2 million organizations, only 24,000 organizations have it, and BeEzrat HaShem just became one of them. It's a very big deal. Look it up, and you'll see and understand. And Rabotai Karim, this to us doesn't change what we're going to do tomorrow. To us, it's just showing us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, again, gives us a pat on the back and tell us, keep going. Keep going, keep pushing. Because it's needed out there. And that's, Rabotai Karim, a blessing that every single person can also acquire. It's not easy. It does come at a price. But in the end, the blessings outweigh any price that you ever paid. You know, it took a lot of time and effort to study for this lecture, and I really hope that you're enjoying it and really growing with every word, because I did. If you liked it, if you're enjoying the constant challenge from the Torah, then please like, subscribe, and make sure to share with the people that you care about, because you could end up changing their eternity. Thanks again for learning with me, and now back to the lecture. With that being said, you guys can start asking some questions, and BeEzrat HaShem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us some answers. Let's see. It's a lot of hellos and blessings, which I appreciate, but if anybody has questions, you could send them. You brought me back to Judaism, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Send me a message on my WhatsApp. Let me know what your name is so I could not only store you on my phone if you have any questions, but also add you to our groups. All the people that have done Teshuva through our shiurim are very, very precious to us. If it's a Mason student, it hasn't learned... Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I don't think that question... there's some strange conspiracy theory people that are just spamming the messages, so by the time I actually read a normal message, I have to go through 100 of them. Which is better, to contact your website to donate or through the channel? The best way is to donate through the website, BeEzratHashem.org. But some people that are overseas, like for example Brazil, many times the students that we have in Brazil have a hard time donating on the website and even using a credit card. So what they do is they send us money through Wise, W-I-S-E. And anyone that wants to do that can do it, could send me a message and I'll send them the address for Wise. Or they send us cryptocurrency sometimes, sometimes wire transfers, but most of the time it's the other two. Wise is cheaper than wire transfer. what's a good way to confront people without getting into much trouble when they're randomly making fun of random people? Well, I mean, that depends. That depends. What are they? Who are they making fun of? Who are they? Sometimes the best thing to do is to change the topic by telling people, you guys ever hear the story of such and such? I always tell people that they should learn Sipurei Tzadikim, the stories of Tzadikim. So always have one that you're ready to tell. So as soon as there's a situation like this, where it's an uncomfortable situation, you could just change the conversation completely by saying, hey, did you ever hear the story about the Baal Shem Tov with the horse? Oh, no. Okay. And start telling it, even though it has nothing to do with what they were just saying. He was just busy making fun of somebody because of their weight, because of their financial situation, because of whatever. Tell them the story. Change the subject. It's usually the easiest and best thing to do. You're talking Torah, plus you're stopping the fire. Can a Noahide do Kiruv? Yes, absolutely. We have many Noahides that help us. Some of them donate money. Some of them distribute our books and USBs in Jewish communities. Some of them have specific skills like graphics, or different things with technology, and they volunteer for our organization that way. Some of them simply, get a certain amount of time every day where they take our lectures and they distribute them all over, Twitter or Facebook or other social media, and get other people to see it. So yes, of course, whether it's a Jew or a non-Jew, if you're a lover of Hashem and you want to publicize this Torah, you could certainly volunteer at our organization and help us do Kiruv and help us get the truth out there to more and more people. Absolutely. We need as many people as possible. I've come to the live to ask you a question. So ask. Does reincarnation happen before judgment? Well, reincarnation happens as part of judgment, meaning that there is different levels of judgment. The first judgment that a person has to deal with when they die is called Chibut HaKever, which is the beatings of the grave. After the beatings of the grave, then they're judged based on their actions, which is they can be judged to go to a horrible place, like Gaon, Kafakela, or they can be judged to go to be reincarnated and have to do the whole thing all over again to fix something. Or it can be a combination thereof. Or unless they're righteous, they can go to heaven, of course. But reincarnation is part of the judgment. How can I buy the album with the movies? Do you send it to Europe? If you're talking about the USBs, I believe you can buy some of them still on the website. But if you're talking about the new thing, this new device that we have, BeEzrat HaShem, this is going to be available soon. It's not available yet, but it will be available soon. And when it becomes available, we will make it available for people to get it wherever they are. The only thing is that I could already tell you ahead of time, shipping is expensive. When we ship to the U.S., it's it's relatively affordable. But when we ship to different countries, it's very expensive. So a person already has to be prepared for it. But if you're willing to pay for it, by all means, we'd be happy to send it to wherever it is, whether it's the UK or it's Brazil or it's Australia. We've sent packages all over the world. We've sent packages to Africa. We've sent packages to Australia. We've sent packages to Canada countless times. So we're not against it. We're happy to do it. It's just that it's expensive. So if you're willing to pay for it, by all means. The beatings of the grave is a scary concept. It's not just a concept, it's a reality. I actually have a whole film about it called Chibut HaKever, Chibut, and the next word is Hakever, Kever. It's a very, very scary movie. It even has real footage that will probably scare you more than the rest of the film. But nonetheless, it's a reality. And a person could learn it, understand it, can do tshuva so they don't have to suffer as much. But it's a reality. It's part of our Torah. And it's certainly something that a person needs to know. It helps with doing tshuva. What is my opinion on the Talmud and who wrote it? Well, the Babylonian Talmud was written by Ravina and Ravashi, and the Jerusalem Talmud was by Rabbi Yochanan, Rabban Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan, and they are a critical part of Torah that we cannot live without of, simply because Hashem gave us the written Torah and the oral Torah. So the foundation of our oral Torah is the Talmud. Now, the average person out there that only learned different tidbits from different anti-Semites about the Talmud thinks that the Talmud is evil. The Talmud is is something that is bad, but that's simply ignorance. The Talmud has all of the wisdoms that are available in this world, which is 7 levels of wisdom. And the person that learns it and studies it not only improves their knowledge of Torah, but actually improves their intellectual ability, improves their IQ. And it's certainly something that's beyond the comprehension of people. This is our foundation of the Torah. Rabbi, as a non-Jew, can I study the Talmud and the Torah independently? Non-Jews are not allowed to study the Talmud according to the Torah, because the Talmud is not really relevant to them. It's not something for them to study. It would be considered as if they're stealing the Torah. What a non-Jew can study according to some Chachamim is the Chumash, which is the 5 books of Moses, the writings, the prophets, based on the basic commentary on it, like by Rashi, and Musar. Those are the 2 things that are relevant to all of mankind, Jews and non-Jews. Certainly, Jews have obviously much bigger obligation, but the point is that non-Jews, if they're going to learn Torah, focus on the things that are relevant to you, which is the written Torah and the Musar, which is character development. Once you start delving into the oral Torah parts like the Talmud, Kabbalah, Zohar, things like that, you're going into a forbidden place, and nothing good will eventually come out of it. And I've seen with my own eyes people that disregarded my advice to them to stop. People that were going in the right direction as Noahides, and they were learning and they were improving their life and everything. But then, they weren't able to convert, but they wanted to learn more, and they decided to start learning things that are forbidden to them. And at some point, I told them, you're not allowed to learn this, so you should stop. Didn't listen. And literally within, maybe a month or less than a month after I told them this, somebody tried to kill the person in one case. In other cases, really, really bad things happened to them, health-wise, financial-wise. It happened a few times. And it's unfortunate because people think that it's just the rabbis trying to hide the Torah, or who are you to tell me what I could learn? Do whatever you want. When I tell you, don't drink poison, that's not because I benefit. It's because I'm warning you. If I tell you not to drink and drive, it's not because I benefit. It's because I'm warning you. You don't want to listen. By all means, do what you want. But the point is that the sages specifically said that Talmud is not something for non-Jews to study. And it's not relevant to them anyway. It's not, the vast majority of it's going to talk about things that have nothing to do with your life, and you're not going to even understand it. What is your opinion of Messianic Judaism? It's becoming more popular in the U.S. Messianic Judaism is Christianity in disguise. It's not Judaism at all. It's simply people that believe in the New Testament, which by definition means that they're practicing Christianity. Even the people within the Messianic community would tell you that if they're honest, and many people that have left that community and joined Judaism have told me that it's 100% Christianity, but it's even worse. It's evangelical Christianity, but it's one that also uses different tactics to missionize, by deceiving, by pretending to be Jews. So it's a corrupt. It's not only idol worship, but it's also corrupt in the way that they do things. It's completely unethical. Where am I reading these questions from? I have several sources. I have Facebook, I have TikTok, I have YouTube, I have WhatsApp, I have several different places that people send questions. Okay. I'm wondering why the rabbi does not teach about Gaon. It seems, listen, you have to ask the rabbis why they do what they do. You can't ask me why somebody else does something that they do. Thank you. Rabbi, can you please explain how Pinchas and Balak were both Itro's grandsons? As far as Balak was, I believe, older than Pinchas. When Yitro, the HaChaim explained that when Yitro came back to Midian, tried to convert everyone, Balak had the opportunity to convert, but he hated Judaism. He hated the Torah and did not want it, and he ended up rebelling even more. So he was a direct descendant of Yitro. Some say he was his son, some say he was grandson, but nonetheless, through one of the daughters. The other side, as far as Pinchas, Leavdil, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen. Now, Elazar was the son of Aaron HaKohen, and Elazar married one of Yitro's daughters. And therefore, therefore Pinchas is Yitro's grandson. What should a convert woman study? Should a single woman cover her hair? A woman that's trying to convert, or even a man that's trying to convert, should go to our website, BeEzrat go to the ebook section, and over there get what's called the conversion guide. It's a conversion guide that tells you all the different things that you're going to need to know for conversion. Books you need to study. It even has, it's interactive, so you could press the pictures and it takes you to different websites that sell the books. These are not my websites, they're just random, different websites that sell the books that we recommend for people to buy. We don't get a penny out of it. It's not like some type of marketing system. You can buy it from anywhere you want, but we try to make it easy for people by providing you the material that you need to study, that you need to know for the sake of conversion. As far as a single woman covering her hair, no, she does not need to cover her hair, but she should not walk around with her hair spread. She should have her hair in a ponytail. So it's a little bit more modest. If your family line has Jewish ancestry, but you're uncertain if it goes up to the mother's line, would there be spiritual signs you are a Jew? By dream, by physical happenings? We don't rely on spiritual signs. If you don't know if you're Jewish and you want to be Jewish, you would have to go to a Beit Din, Orthodox Beit Din, and convert. Could the rabbi comment on Exodus chapter 3 verse 14 where God reveals his name, I am that I am, when Moshe asked, what exactly do you want me to say? I mean, as far as Hashem is, he is what he is, it means that, number one, Hashem's name is not like a person's name that that you could just call him Moshe or Aaron or anything like that. That's number one. Number two, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in essence telling Moshe Rabbeinu that he's not going to understand everything that Hashem does. When Moshe Rabbeinu asked him about why do sometimes we see the righteous suffer and the wicked prosper, and Hashem gave him multiple reasons why, but the ultimate reason was, I'll do whatever I want to do, meaning that Hashem has divine judgment that's beyond the logic of human beings. Number three, Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu that unlike a person that lives at the moment and is familiar with certain parts of the past and is perhaps hopeful and optimistic about the future, the only knowledge they have are things that they have already done, the past and the present, what they're dealing with. But Hashem does not have a past, present, or future. To Hashem, everything is the same. The past, the present, and the future are all happening at the same exact time. There is no concept of time. So in essence, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Moshe different things of to show us his thoughts are not like our thoughts, his ways are not like our ways, his name is not the same, the ideas that a person has are separated from him. Hashem is not separated from his ideas. Everything is one. That's why we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Everything is a unity, and there's nothing to compare him to. There's no like a number two or someone that's even remotely close to God. He is one of one, and there is nothing to compare him to, whereas everything else will always have a comparison, always have something that's similar or even identical to it. These are just some of the things. Certainly if you look into what Rashi wrote over there, or what the Abarbanel wrote over there, or Chizkuni, the Midrash Rabbah, certainly, the Ramban. There's plenty of commentary on that verse in the Gemara. There's plenty more that you could find over there. What's our website? Our website is BeEzratHashem.org, which is B as in BeEzrat, EEZRATHASHEM.org. If you just go to my YouTube profile after the shiur, over there's some links, and one of them is the website. Thank you, Rabbi. You have shown me the truth, and I have come back to God. May He continue to take all of us further in our spiritual journey. Baruch Hashem. Amazing. How can one do tshuva for unintentional misstatements about David HaMelech's character or actions, such as mistakenly attributing a certain attitude or behavior to him that wasn't accurate? Well, I mean, if you shared that material with other people that was wrong, then go to those people and tell them you were wrong, and here's the correct information. And secondly, from now on, take upon yourself that you're not going to state anything that you don't have a source for, that you're not for sure, that you've heard it and validated it, and you're not just guessing based on logic. All right. Let's see what. Rabbi, is it fine to do Kiruv on this app called OME TV? It's live chats to speak with the Israelis where many, if not all, are Chilonim. Can't share your links, but I can tell people to search Rav Kachlan. I mean, listen, you have to be careful with going into places like that. If you could just post without seeing a lot of things, that's ideal. But you have to be careful. You have to know yourself what you can handle, what you can't handle. Can someone move during the 9 days? If a person can move during the 3 weeks, during the 9 days it's not ideal to move. This year it's a little bit easier because the Tisha B'Av falls on a Shabbat. So a lot of the things that you're not allowed to do are not relevant this year because it falls on a Motzei Shabbat. But there's a certain preparation that you'll have to do on Friday. But it also depends on whether a person is Ashkenazi or Sephardi. The Ashkenazim are a little bit more stringent on certain aspects of it. But if a person is Sephardi and they want to move, after, let's say on Rosh Chodesh of Av, they can move. If they can move before or after, it's better, but certainly if they need to, they can. Peace and prosperity in your home. Was the golden calf built as a symbol of the tribe of Joseph? No, the tribe of Joseph was a bull, and the calf was a young calf, so it's two different things. And anyway, the tribe of Joseph preceded the golden calf. The tribe of Joseph already was at the time of Yaakov Avinu, hundreds of years before the golden calf sin. Where's the list of things that we could do practically for Kiruv? If you want to get it right this second, you can go to our website, BeEzrat go to the ebook section, free ebook section. Over there, there's going to be a guide to Kiruv. And you can download it. I think it has like 100 pages. Lots of different ideas and that a person can do. How to pray for Reform Jews so they can do tshuva. Like you would pray for anybody else. All right. Okay, let's see another one over here. What inspired you to convert to Judaism? I didn't convert to Judaism. I was born Jewish. My wife is a convert, Baruch Hashem. But if you want to know my personal story, there's a whole film about it on our YouTube channel as well as on the website. It's called Hashem Took Back His Millions. As soon as you go to my YouTube page, Rabbi Yaron Reuven, I believe the first thing that you'll see on the page on the like to promote it for the page itself, is the movie called Hashem Took Back His Millions. It's a very, very entertaining and inspiring film. It talks about a lot of things. It talks about why I became a religious Jew, why I left Wall Street, and a lot of other things. So if you're interested in that, by all means, go over there. Millions of views from different languages, in Spanish, and English, and Hebrew, in French, German, all types of languages. People watch that film, Baruch Hashem, and inspired. Can you make a shiur about the Baba Sali, the Baal Mofet? He's also important. I've spoken about the Baba Sali several times over the years. If you just go to my channel and type the name Baba Sali, you'll see that there's several clips that they've cut out of my longer lectures that discussed the Baba Sali, different stories about him. Yes, I used to work on Wall Street. I had a firm. I had a lot of stuff. But you could watch the film for all that. You'll see. You could even see me on TV multiple times discussing that stuff. Hey, Rabbi, no joke. I need advice. Fine. Send a message, and I'll be happy to. Okay, the website is B, as in BeEzrat, EEZRATHASHEM.org. But wherever you guys are watching me from, whether it's YouTube or it's a TikTok or it's Facebook, if you just go to my profile, you'll probably, if you click on the profile, you'll probably find somewhere in there that we put the website. If you're not understanding what I'm saying as far as the letters now. Was it an amulet with a bull on it from the Nile River that caused the golden calf? Who was it that took the amulet? Okay, so there was a guy named Micha. Micha was one of the babies that was supposed to die, that the Egyptians would punish the Jews by, if they didn't meet their quota in making a certain amount of stones, they would take the person's child, baby, and put him instead of the stones. Very horrific, vicious thing that the Egyptians did. And when Moshe Rabbeinu saw this, he cried out to God, why are you letting these babies die? And Hashem explained to him that these babies really, they look cute and everything, but they were actually wicked neshamot. They were the Erev Rav, the wicked neshamot, that had to had to suffer a certain amount of tikkun. But still, at the end of it all, Moshe Rabbeinu was still human. And even though the Chachamim say he was half human, half angel, because of how holy he became, still, he was still human. So when he saw a baby going into the wall, he asked God for permission to save Micha, and Hashem said, if you want to save him, you can. And he saved this Micha, and this Micha, from that point on, always followed Moshe Rabbeinu. And when the time came for the Exodus, Yetziat Mitzrayim, Moshe took upon himself to go fulfill the promise that that Yosef HaTzadik made the rest of the tribes, promised him that when the Exodus eventually happens, that they take his bones out of Egypt. So he's buried in Israel. So Moshe Rabbeinu went and looked for the tomb of Yosef HaTzadik. The problem was that the Egyptians, since they benefited so much from Yosef, how he built their country, made them the richest, wealthiest, strongest country in the world, they, in essence, did not want to lose his body, and they took his tomb and they hid it inside the Nile River. So Moshe Rabbeinu did not know this, and no one knew until he met Serach, the daughter of Asher. Serach was the granddaughter of Yaakov Avinu. She was hundreds of years old, and she was one of the last remaining direct descendants of Yaakov Avinu as far as that close, the granddaughter. There was a few others, but Serach, she got blessed by Yaakov Avinu to live a long life, and she's one of the 10 people that entered Gan Eden alive. And she knew where Yosef HaTzadik, where his tomb is hidden inside the Nile River. She told that to Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu went there, but it was under the water. So Moshe Rabbeinu, in order to take it out, he took a mateh, like some type of metal piece that engraved on it, Aleh Shor Aleh, rise bull rise. On one side, and the other side, I believe it had the name of Hashem. And he threw it into the water, and before that he said to the bones of Yosef that were inside the water, inside this tomb, I'm going to do my ishtadlut, my efforts. You either bring yourself out of the water, or I'm leaving you here. He threw in the mateh, and it went into the water, and the tomb rose and came out of the water, and then Moshe Rabbeinu took the tomb with him, and eventually this was buried. Am Yisrael buried it when they entered Eretz Yisrael. Now, since Micha, that young kid that Moshe Rabbeinu saved, always followed him, he was hiding in the bushes, and as soon as Moshe Rabbeinu was busy with the tomb, Micha jumped into the water and grabbed the mateh. He kept it, and the Gemara says that Micha was so evil and so wicked that when Am Yisrael left Egypt, he brought his idol with him also. He was crossing Yam Suf. Hashem was making miracles, and in his hands, everybody's saying, Zeh li v'anveu, this is my God and I'll sanctify him. Micha was pointing at the statue. He was still worshipping the statue. It was a big, wicked, big Rasha. Later on, when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Mount Sinai, and the Erev Rav got everybody riled up, they wanted a replacement for Moshe. They knew they can't replace God, but they wanted a replacement for Moshe, and they started throwing the gold into the fire. And Micha took that mateh that he got from Moshe Rabbeinu and threw it into the fire also. But since this mateh was no ordinary mateh, was no ordinary piece of metal, it had a Hashem's name on it, and on the other side it said, rise, bull, rise. So as soon as he threw it into the fire, the gold that was in the fire solidified and turned into a bull. And that's why when Moshe Rabbeinu, after he came down from Mount Sinai, and he asked his brother Aaron, you'll see this in the verses, why did you do this to the people? And Aaron replies, I didn't do it. The bull rose by itself. How did the bull rose by itself? Exactly like I told you, where Micha threw the mateh into the fire, and it came out as a bull. And this bull, since it was through this supernatural means that it came out, the bull came out and started talking, and it said, "I am God." So people started worshiping it. They worshipped it. So it wasn't comparable to some statue you buy in Chinatown or you buy on the internet and put it in your garden. This was something very, very different. But that's also why when Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Mount Sinai, he not only destroyed this golden calf, he literally turned it into dust, completely, destroying it. And Micha continued being wicked. Later on in the Tanakh, Micha actually opens a place of idolatry and gets people to pray to his idol. So he's still alive later on in the Tanakh. And you can ask, well, why did Hashem not kill him? Why did Hashem not kill him? Because sometimes there is a certain purpose that even the wicked people play in the ultimate tikkun of the world. So Hashem doesn't necessarily kill a person just because they're wicked, or not really just because they're wicked. Hashem will sometimes leave certain wicked people in the world, number one, to increase and magnify their ultimate punishment. Number two, to serve as a purpose, as someone that he will use to actually rebuke his children, meaning that when Am Yisrael does the will of Hashem, then the nations are scared of it. No matter how many Jews are in the world, no matter how much they have, when Am Yisrael does the will of Hashem, like we saw at different times of history, the nations are scared of it. When Am Yisrael does not do the will of Hashem, and in fact does the opposite, worship idols, immorality, cash advance business, all the different sins that Am Yisrael has done throughout all of the years, then Hashem uses the Erev Rav, uses the Amalek, uses Esav and Ishmael to go and deliver his punishment through that. That's why you see the pogroms, the inquisitions, destruction of the first and the second Bet HaMikdash, the Holocaust. All of these things were tools that Hashem used to rebuke his children, to punish his children, and to, in essence, get them to do tshuva. So he didn't leave. The Romans were always wicked. The Greeks were always wicked. But Hashem left them in the world in order for them to rebuke, to be the rebuke, the stick that Hashem hits his own children with. The Nazis were always wicked. The Spaniards were always wicked. The Turks were always wicked. It wasn't like they became wicked when they started killing Jews. They were always wicked beforehand. Haman was always wicked. Amalek was always wicked. But Hashem, in essence, did not allow them to hurt Am Yisrael to that extent until Am Yisrael crossed the line. And when Am Yisrael crossed the line, Hashem uses the Esav and Ishmael to be the stick that Hashem, in essence, disciplines his children. Hashem Yachem. But Micha was a wicked person from the start, and he ended up causing a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble for Am Yisrael. How can we help Israel? If you want to help Israel, you can go to the campaign that we have. It's on our website. There's also a separate page for it, where we are continuing to raise money to help people in Israel that have lost their home through the attack of what happened with Iran. So you could also see on the campaign page different videos of our team going and giving, going to the different hotels and different places where these people that have lost their homes, we give them money, we give them some stuff, books, and all types of things to give them some help. So if you want to help people in Israel right now, you could donate over there. If you want to help Am Yisrael do tshuva, you could donate on a regular website. There's plenty of ways that you could help. Those are just a couple. How do the Jewish people atone for their sins? You do tshuva. You first stop the sin. First stop doing the sin. So if somebody is stole, for example, stop stealing and give it back. Give back what you stole. If somebody has made a commitment immorality of some kind, stop doing it. That's the first step. Second step, do whatever is necessary to, in essence, build a fence in your life to not go back to the same offense, to the same sin. So if, let's say, just like a person that was an alcoholic and now wants to stop, or a drug addict and wants to stop, or other types of addicts, the first thing that they're going to do is not go back to the same places or the same friends or same people that they were with. So a person that used to sin specific things has to educate themselves about the Torah that discusses that particular sin, plus, restructure their life in a way that they're not put in a position to make the same sin again. So that's step number 2. Step number 3, say I'm sorry to Hashem that you have gone against him, that you violated his Torah. If you do it with tears, it's even better. That's step number 3. Step number 4 is the next time you have a test where you have the enticement to sin again, the same sin, pass the test. Pass the test. Now, there's other discussions that I have over the years with something called tikkunim that a person can do. But the first 4, like I just said, that's the foundation. That's the requirement. The other things that I talked about as far as tikkunim, that's like an extra bonus that you do after you've done or started at least doing seriously the first 4 steps. The people that work for financial institutions, part of their cash advance sin, even though they're not the owner of the business. Anyone that works in a predatory business, a corrupt business, is part of the problem, is part of the sinner. So that means whether you are a broker or an owner or a secretary or a bookkeeper or whatever other position that helps the cash advance business, which is a predatory business, which is a corrupt business, which is an evil business, whatever position you're in, you are helping that business function. You're helping that business grow. You're helping that business destroy lives. So certainly you are part of the problem. Certainly you are sinning. Certainly you're going to get punished. Now, of course, some people will get punished much more than others, but be assured that the punishment will eventually come. And again, to emphasize this enough to people that don't understand, the cash advance business is not the only evil, corrupt business that's out there in the world. There are others. There's obviously the horrific things that's happening right now in the last few years with online gambling, where it's become legal in the United States, and literally anyone with a phone could have a whole entire casino on his phone. Now it's legal. Now they're discussing gambling on sports. They're discussing gambling on national TV, things that were forbidden for all of history, now a standard in that part. There is obviously corruption in the whole cryptocurrency industries, of how literally people are, robbing the public in plain daylight without being afraid, and even making video of themselves, laughing at the people they robbed. And crime has become legal. So it's horrific. So that's obviously corruption there. There's corruption in all types of industries. But the cash advance business is, from my perspective, from my understanding, is I don't believe that there is something that is more evil than it. It's also corrupt, like everything else that I said, but it has a different level of evil in it, and I'll tell you why. If somebody steals somebody's money, whether it's through cheating them in the gambling, or it's in the cryptocurrency scams that are happening literally every single day, or other investment scams, or business scams, whatever it is, what they're taking is something that somebody saved up over a period of time. They worked for it. Let's say they steal their $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, whatever it is, but that's it. That's where it ends. The cash advance industry is so evil, is so corrupt, that they're not stealing the person's money. They're stealing their life. Why? Because who are the customers of the cash advance industry? Business owners, small business owners. By small business, people think, small business, he probably makes, $5,000 a month. No, small business can be anywhere from a couple of $1,000s to $10 million, $20 million. Still considered small business. So they're lending money to small businesses, which, by the way, anyone who doesn't know anything about how finances work and everything in the world, small businesses are what pushes the economy forward or backwards. It's not the businesses that you hear about in the news, in the stock market all the time, the Microsofts and the Googles of the world. Yes, those businesses are important. Those businesses are great, but they do not push the economy one way or the other, because the small businesses there's much more of them. The small businesses are a very, very critical part of the economy. They're a very critical part of society. So the cash advance industry goes to the small business owner and gives him a loan that he is simply never going to be able to pay back without literally winning the lottery, or simply putting himself in impossible situations. Why? Because they're giving him a loan that has what's called a predatory rate. What's a predatory rate? A predatory rate means that the interest that they're charging him, 50, 80, 100, 200, 300, 4,000%. It just simply depends how much they hate this guy and how much they're willing to destroy his life. But even if they're only charging him 60, 70%, only, which is, again, that means he borrowed $100,000. Now, he has to pay back 160, but it's not really 160 because it accrues. But regardless of that, that guy does not realize that the amount of interest that he's going to have to pay on this money is much more significant than the amount of money he's going to be able to make with that money. So what ends up happening with most cases is that by the time he realizes what he got himself into, where they're taking money from his bank account without needing any authorization anymore, because that's part of the contract. You sign a contract with the cash advance business, they take money from his bank account automatically every week and whenever they feel like it. It's not like a credit card or some type of mortgage where they send you a bill and you make a payment. No, they get authorization over your bank account. And they take money out of the bank account every week or whenever they feel like it practically. They can literally empty out the guy's bank account if they really want to. Now, what ends up happening, if the guy, let's say, empties out his bank account, so he doesn't have to pay them, or he doesn't have the money, or whatever it is, they have so many different things that they can do to destroy his life that they'll take away all of his assets, his business, his house, his everything. But even without all of that, even if he does everything he can to actually pay the loan, to do what he can, he doesn't realize when he signs the contract, he doesn't realize what 80% interest means. By the time he realizes it, that $100,000 just turned into $180,000, and he realizes he can't pay it back because the interest is growing much faster than any profit he potentially made with that money if he invested it in his business. He simply can't catch up, and the payments continue to get bigger. So now, what does he do? What do these evil monsters do? They tell him, listen, your payments are higher now, you have to do something, you have to give us more, but you don't have more, you know what? We'll give you another loan. To buy out this loan, now you owe us $180,000, we'll give you a new loan for $300,000. So now you have the $180,000 in essence refinance at another high rate, and another $120,000 we're giving you to your business as if we're helping you. But in reality, they're not helping him. They're destroying him. This is like simply somebody telling you, I'm going to cure your allergies by putting cancer in your body. So what ends up happening, within about a year, usually that's around the average, sometimes a little longer, sometimes even less, this person is put in a position where he is now in an impossible situation. Unless he gets somebody that is, rich and loves him and unconditionally and has the money and everything to just buy out the loan, what he ends up doing is that now has $300,000, $400,000 that he's borrowed. That $300,000, $400,000 that he's borrowed has turned into $1 million that he owes, which means that even if his business succeeds in growing 30% a year, it's still not going to be able to pay back the loan. And he ends up having to declare bankruptcy. He ends up having to default. He ends up completely losing his business. Now, what does that mean? Why is losing a business much worse than losing a bunch of money in the stock market or cryptocurrency or gambling? Why is losing a business? For anyone that built a business in their life, they would understand this it's very close to home. Anyone that doesn't should still understand it. But anyone that's an entrepreneur should understand this very well. If you build a business, entrepreneurs look cool on TV after they succeed. But in reality, there's nothing cool about it in the beginning. Why? Because in so many words, you're doing the impossible. And you're doing things that other people are not usually willing to do. You're taking risks. You're putting everything on the line. You're working overtime as a standard. There's no such thing as an entrepreneur that works 9 to 5. Employees work 9 to 5 at best. Entrepreneurs don't have a schedule. They work nonstop, especially in the beginning stages. You work at night, you work during the day, you work in the afternoon. There's no vacation. Why? Because you need to have money to pay the employees. Those same people that work less than you. Those same people that don't necessarily care about the business as much as you. But you still have to pay them because they work for you. And you have to pay the vendors. And you have to pay the IRS. And you have to pay the this. And you have to pay that. So the guy that's building a business literally is constantly putting everything on the line every single day just to keep this business alive and to be able to hopefully scratch out enough money to be able to live too, to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, to pay for tuition, whatever it is for his kids. So in so many words, an entrepreneur that builds a business, he's putting everything he has, everything she has, into that business, all of their time, effort, energy, everything, especially in the beginning. Now, a guy that's built a business over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, now that means that he has been doing this for all those years. Of course, sometimes were more difficult than others. During the crisis, during the corona, during different things that they had that particular to their business. But nonetheless, if he has been in this business for 30 years, that means that he has gone through hell and back just to keep that business alive, just to keep that business from simply going bankrupt, just to keep that business from being, not being obsolete, just to keep it relevant. Whether it's a cafe shop or a plumbing company or a law firm or whatever it is, regardless of what business it is, if he has been doing it for 20, 30 years, that means he has been putting everything on the line, all of that time to pay the employees, to pay for the vendors, to pay the government, to pay the regulators, to pay the everything. And it looks like he lives a good life because now he has $1 million house or he has a nice car, but an employee will never understand what the owner goes through until he becomes an owner. And now, that guy that put everything on the line is in a situation where he needs to borrow money in order to grow his business further, in order to pay some bills that he doesn't have the liquidity to pay for. And he thinks that when the cash advance company that doesn't stop marketing through text messaging and online and everything else, they're a marketing machine. When they finally call him and tell him, listen, hey, Joe, how about I send you $100,000 in the next 2 days? Really? You can send me $100,000? Yeah, we can lend it to you, no problem. You just got to sign, we'll lend it to you. Now, Joe knows he went to the bank to ask for $100,000. The bank said no. Why? Because the bank either already lent the money or he doesn't have good credit or that's good enough for them or whatever it is. And Joe says, listen, yeah, I'll take this $100,000. Sure. He doesn't even think about the facts that this $100,000 is coming at 80% interest, is coming with terms that he wouldn't even give to his enemies. He's just thinking, this guy is a godsend. Why? He just called me and he was willing to give me $100,000 in 2 days nonetheless. Even the mortgage takes a few months. So now the guy's not thinking clearly. He borrows the money and then the payments start being taken a week later from his bank. He starts realizing, wait, you guys just took $2,000 out of my account. Yeah, Joe, you signed on it. Yeah, but I borrowed $100,000. You already took $2,000 a week later. Yeah, listen, it's 80% interest you have to pay every month. Now he starts to realize what he got himself into. And what ends up happening, Rabotai, is that guy that built the business for 20, 30 years, slaving on, sacrificing everything for that business, ends up closing shop, going completely broke, losing 30 years of his life. Even if he has $1 million in the bank or in his stock portfolio or in a real estate portfolio, that will be inconsequential in his eyes next to what he just lost. Why? You just took, this cash advance business just took 30 years of his life, 20 years of his life. They literally murdered him. That's why anyone that understands even half, 10% of what I understand about that business knows that there's nothing more evil than that business. Now, there is a bigger version of this business that's called private credit that's being done with major corporations, which also is going to lead to a major bubble and crisis and disaster in the markets, but that's for another time. The cash advance business is an evil business, and that's just an understatement. Because unlike the rest of the corruption that has become standard, the gambling, the perversions, the whatever, all the other things that we don't even have to repeat anymore, all of those other criminals, they take a piece of life, a piece of time, the savings, the investment, the speculative part. They take something, but they don't take 30 years of somebody's life. They don't take their business. And guess what? The cash advance industry, their primary target are business owners. Small business owners. They're not calling Microsoft asking them if they need a $100 million loan. They're not calling Intel asking them if they need a loan. They're calling Joe and Steve and Shmuel and Reuven and everybody that they can that's simply not big enough to be out of their league, but also not somebody that just got out of college with with a $200,000 college loan. They're looking for that business owner, especially the ones that have established at least some type of track record. They built, they have $1 million business, $2 million business, $100,000 business, whatever it is, and they destroy it. And I tell you this, I spoke to a lot of the people in the industry. I even have recordings of training videos of how these evil monsters that are running these organizations, how they train people that they're recruiting to become brokers in the cash advance business. It's literally like gangsters that pretend to be righteous. I don't know how else to explain it. But anyway, there was one guy that I spoke to, and he told me, listen, within 6 months he made $1 million. This 18-year-old little kid, knew nothing in his life, made $1 million in his cash advance business in 6 months. I told him, all those guys that you lent the money to make that $1 million, how many of them are still in business? He's like, Rabbi, they all went broke. They all declared bankruptcy. Meaning the loan that he gave them that made him $1 million destroyed all of their lives. So let's just hypothetically speaking, let's say he got, 100 deals, 50 deals. That means he just destroyed 50 companies. 50 companies, that means no less than 50 different lives. And of course, all of them had employees. All of them had people that have careers. The damage that this little kid made, and this is just a little kid that worked in the industry for a year. $1 million he made, destroyed all these companies. I told him, how much of the $1 million do you have still left? At least you have something left? He says, no, that's gone too. He says, one of the things that all the cash advance people end up doing after they go into the business with all the fast money, everybody becomes a drug addict. Everybody becomes a degenerate in drugs, no matter if they're religious, not religious. They all become degenerate, losers, corrupt in every aspect of life. Rabotai Karim, I don't care if you have payot that are 3 times longer than mine, or a hat, or a beard, or you call yourself a rabbi, or you're not religious. If you are in that cash advance business, you are a monster. You're going to go to Gaon and never come out. And anyone that helped you, or the rabbi that supported you, that told you that it's okay to do it, or whoever was part of your corruption is going to go in the same chamber in Gaon that you're going to go into. Why? Because you are not only destroying people's lives, you're desecrating God's name, and you are becoming one of the fuels to power Amalek. To power Amalek. That's what Rashi says on the pasuk when Hashem warns us not to do unjust business, and the next pasuk after that is the warning, the reminder of Amalek. Rashi says, when Am Yisrael does business that corruptly, they're giving power to Amalek. And that's why the sages said clearly, this is actually in the name, and the prophets even said it. The prophet said it. Someone that gains money, that makes money, makes his living in an unjust way, cuts off half of his life. So I promise everybody, you're going to see a Kadosh Baruch Hu's name sanctified, even though it's not going to look pretty. You'll see people not only go to jail, you're going to see people dying young, you're going to see a disaster, you're going to see such horrible things, you're going to think the Gaon movie that I made is a pretty movie next to what these people are bringing. There's nothing more evil than someone knowingly doing a business transaction that they know is going to destroy somebody's life. It's simply evil beyond all comprehension. And I cannot believe that there are people that are supportive of this, calling themselves rabbis without even investigating what they're supportive of. Anyone that looks at what this is knows it's corrupt. I spoke to my dear friend, a big Rav Hamnik, Rav Yaakov David Hamnik. Just the other day, Baruch Hashem, it's an extraordinary Torah scholar, huge Talmid Chacham, one of the Talmidim of Avahutna, one of the Gedolei Ador of America in the previous generation. And him and I have spoken several times over the years, and when I told him about this whole cash advance, literally, he said, you have to do something about it. Somebody came to him just the other day, asking him about cash advance. He said, I started yelling at the guy, he tells me. And then he told me, I started yelling at the guy. Anyone that has investigated that business knows it's corrupt. The people that are in it know it's corrupt. They may not know it's corrupt on day one, but after 3 months, 6 months, you see all your clients are declaring bankruptcy, are crying, are committing suicide, are getting divorced, are literally losing their life. At that point, you know the business is corrupt. Why don't they leave right away? Because now they're addicted to the money that they're making, the $100,000, $200,000, $400,000 a month. This nobody that barely knows how to read 6 months ago now is making $100,000 a month. How is he going to leave it? Yeah, but you're ruining people's lives. Listen, they'll start justifying. Oh, they chose to sign. I didn't tell them to sign. So, Rabotai Karim, when I told you guys it's an evil business years ago, I knew what I know. But a lot more has been discovered since then. Some that I'm telling you now, some that I'm not telling you. In so many words, trust me when I tell you, the damage that this business is going to bring is the disaster that's unquantifiable. Just put it this way, we'll finish off with this. Destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. The pogroms in England in the 1100s. The Spanish Inquisition. The different pogroms and massacres that happened in Morocco. The Holocaust. And countless other major disasters in Jewish history. Major business that prospered right before those disasters happened was another version of the cash advance business. They called it different things, but it's always that. This is not the first time. This is not new. And every major disaster in Jewish history was preceded with the success of this corrupt, predatory business. It's sad that people don't learn from history, but hopefully people understand that the ramifications are significant. If you want to do something about it, you want to help in some way, you can order some of our books that are called Ochachot V'Tochot in the Kiruv store, distribute them in your community, to your rabbi, to the people in the community that speak Hebrew. They can at least read the halachic discussion, the response that nobody can dispute, showing that it's against the Torah to be in this business or any business similar to it. And we could simply pray that we could help more and more people do tshuva and save them from this disaster. But it's happening, Rabotay. It's getting bigger by the day. It's getting worse by the day. I know that my words bother that industry, bother people in that industry when they send me hate mail and calls, and they think that they can threaten me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's with us. When He's with us, doesn't make a difference who's against us. So, as I've said to them, and especially those that are brazen and arrogant about what they do and the everything that they're doing, as long as HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows me, I will continue exposing more and more about the evil nature of this business and any other evil and corruption out there that we could help people with, to stay away from, to protect them, to warn them from, and no matter what threats, no matter what they do, because Rabotai Karim, this is a disaster of fourth stage. that is hiding in plain sight, and everyone is acting normal as if it's good times. As if it's good times. It's mind-boggling what corruption is happening right now. BeEzrat HaShem, the people that have been watching this and will watch this in the future will take upon themselves to help distribute this lecture, the books, all the different things that will help Amei Yisrael see the truth for what it is. And perhaps you'll be fortunate enough, like we've been over the years, in being able to not only help people do tshuva, but even get people out of that business. I have many, many people, brokers, that were in that business, that were making a lot of money, that realized what they were doing, asked questions, got the answers, and ended up taking Hashem first and leaving the business. But there's still a lot, obviously. We still have a lot of work to do. BeEzrat Hashem, each one of you can be a Pinchas in your own way. In your own way. There's a lot of different things that each person can do. Hopefully, each person takes upon themselves to not only do tshuva, but to also be a Pinchas in their own way. And BeEzrat Hashem, you help people. Do you think that they're money hungry? It's a rhetorical question. Can even a Noahide be like Pinchas? Yes, a Noahide can do a lot of good things that can help people do tshuva. We have some people on our team that are Noahides that literally do hours and hours of Kiruv every single day. So, absolutely. Okay, we'll take one more question and then we'll finish off. Boker Tov, Ilan, Boker Tov. Yeah, it's been a Q&A already for over an hour. How can a person do Kiruv if they don't learn Torah? Well, you certainly do need to learn Torah in order to have the merit to do Kiruv. So we certainly need to be in the process of doing Tshuva in order to succeed in Kiruv. The more you have merits, the more successful you'll be in Kiruv. Should you leave the UK? What's your other option? Where would you go? What makes it better and what makes it worse? Person has to go and live in a place where they're going to serve Hashem the best way they can. So if you could serve Hashem the best you can somewhere else and still be able to make parnasah and still have shalom bayit, then go wherever that is. But if you go into a place what's going to cause you shalom bayit problems, chas v'shalom a divorce, or you don't have a way to make a living, then obviously you have to do a full calculation, not just one item. How can one turn on hot water in a hotel on Shabbat? If they already heated the water in a hot water urn on Shabbat, before Shabbat, so they have a hot water urn, so it keeps the water hot. They can use that water to make tea. But as far as turning on the water from the faucet, hot water, no, you're not allowed to do that, because that's going to heat up the water, and that's cooking. Not allowed to do that. You buy a hot water urn, it costs you know, it doesn't cost much. Depends where you are, but it doesn't cost much. You can get a hot water urn and take it with you. Or order it to the room if you're going to be there for a while. Okay, let's see. One more question. Oh, it's late. If I had a meal with bread and wine, do I have to say, and I said Birkat HaMazon, do I also have to say the after blessing for the wine? No, the Birkat HaMazon covers everything. But it's a hotel. The boiler would already be on from the other people. Yes, but we don't rely on that. We don't rely on that. And whether it's a hotel or it's your house or it's an apartment complex, on Shabbat you're not allowed to turn on the hot water. You want hot water, you'll have to have it prepared from before Shabbat. That's how the halacha works. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. And the ones that paskin that way studied not only the law, they studied the mechanics of the system much more than I could even fathom, or you. Can one as a Jew say, I swear? No, you're not allowed to swear in God's name. No, chas v'shalom. Okay, all right, Rabotai. I think that should be enough for tonight. This is my second lecture today. I had one in Hebrew, and now this is English. Baruch Hashem, Hashem. Give us the strength to do it, give us the merit to do it, and Baruch Hashem, that we were able to do it. We'll learn together. BeEzrat Hashem, each one of you takes upon yourself to be a Pinchas for part of your everyday. You want to order some books to distribute in your community, or USBs, or the Shariatzar posters, or different things. You can go to kiruvstore.org, kiruvstore.org, and you can get the stuff for free if you're located in the US. If you're located elsewhere outside of the country, you'll have to pay for shipping, and it's not cheap. I don't make the prices though. As far as if you want to support, you want to donate, you can go to BeEzratHashem.org. It's the best place to donate for our organization, whether you want to donate through a credit card, you want to donate through cryptocurrency or stock or wire transfers. Everything is available on that website. Certainly you could also donate on our app, in different ways. But the point is, Rabotai, make sure that you take advantage of the opportunities when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives it to you. Because just because something is available as an opportunity does not mean it's always going to be available. No one knows how much time they have in this world. No one knows what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is preparing for us for tomorrow. And that's why we have to push to the absolute limits every chance we get, and BeEzrat Hashem, we all succeed. Call to Bracha v'Hatzlacha, and BeEzrat Hashem, we'll learn again next week.
למנצח, מזמור לדוד, אשרי משכיל יגדל ביומרה, ימלטהו אדוני, אדוני ישמרהו ויחייהו ואושר בארץ, ואל תתנאו בנפש אויביו, אדוני יסעדנו על ארץ טובה.
אלפי משפחות נמצאים בצרה ובצוקה, בניינים שקרסו, בניינים שנפלו, נשארו רק עם עורם לגופם ופיג'מה, וגם זה לפעמים לא. חלקם פצועים, רעבים, גם צמאים, נפשם בהם תתעטף. ומחובתנו לבוא ולשאת בעול. לכן ידידי הרב ירון ראובן החליט לקפוץ על ההזדמנות בכל הכוח, לעזור ולסייע להם. כבר ברוך השם התחלנו לקבל פניות מאנשים, תעזרו לנו, נפל לנו הבניין. ואהוביי וידידיי, הרוצה להינצל ממלחמת גוג ומגוג, יעסוק בתורה ובגמילות חסדים. תורה זה השיעורי תורה, גמילות חסדים זה לבוא ולתרום. שלא תחשוב אני יושב באיזה מקום בעולם ואני בסדר, לא.
חנני והקימני באשר מהם, לזאת ידעתי כי חפצת בי, כי לא יריע אויבי עליי ואני בתומי תמכת בי, ותציבני לפניך לעולם. ברוך אדוני אלוהי ישראל מהעולם ועד העולם, אמן.
עם ישראל כולו סובל, אתה צריך לשאת בעול הזה יחד עם כל עם ישראל, ואשרי מי שיזכה לבוא ולתרום לארגון הקדוש הזה בעזרת השם.
יצא לחוץ ידבר